053 66 66 32 or 0721 92 3248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.
You're watching CBS News.
A very good morning to you, our viewers, wherever you are tuned in. Welcome to CBS News. My name is Dennis MUNYI. I hope you've weekend umeamka poa, na leo ikiwa siku ya Jumapili, labda umekaa hapo nyumbani unajitayarisha kwenda kanisani, ama pengine umetulia hapo nyumbani unatusikiza ukiwa hapo nyumbani. Karibu katika siku hii ya leo on our Sunday Nation newspaper review. I welcome you again at CBS News. Remember, you can engage with us in our social media platforms and at my own social media handles at Dennis MUNYI. Welcome, and we are going to be taking a look at events that have unfolded over the week. And this has been a very busy week with many things happening. And with me here is the Sunday Nation newspaper with bold headline, How Gen Z Will Shape the 2027 Poll. And this talks about how Gen Z are prepared to face the 2027 poll. And the picture, the front page of our Sunday Nation is a picture of a group of youths walking along Moi Avenue in Mombasa on June 25th. You remember the demonstrations that happened on June 25th, whereby young youths marched to the streets to demand for their rights. And that picture you will find in our Sunday Nation today. And the headline is How Gen Z Will Shape the 2027 Poll, with millions of young people reaching voting age before the next elections. And it is expected that a lot of youths and the Gen Z will be participating in the 2027 general elections, as they will be able to cast their votes in the 2027 general election. There is also a weekly review about why politicians are going to America, with the former deputy president currently in America for an official visit with other opposition leaders, such as the party leader for the PLP, Martha Karua. That is what we have in our Sunday Nation. And I go straight to our first page of the Sunday Nation, whereby it's a story about how tilapia is vanishing, and is vanishing in Lake Victoria. And the headline is Why Tasty Tilapia Could Vanish from Your Plate. Here is a good feature story on how the tilapia fish is being extinct at Lake Victoria. And the Sunday Daily Nation talks about how fishermen in Lake Victoria are complaining that the tilapia fish is no longer available because of things that have been happening at Lake Victoria. And that story is about how we could be headed a situation whereby the tasty tilapia could be not available in coming days. And that's what we have in page 2 of the Daily Nation. And in that page we also see whereby a judge has questioned a mandatory death sentence for offenders, whereby 3 court judges have questioned mandatory minimum sentences for convicted people, whereby they are saying this is Justice John Motivo, who was talking about how it's illegal for the death sentence to people who have been found guilty. And Justice Mativa Gashoka Odunga was saying that the judiciary is applying a discriminatory it's discriminating by issuing that order of death sentences. That story you will find in page 2 at the right end of the Sunday daily paper. And in page 3, you'll see about the music streaming game in Kenya, and it's talk about how musicians have turned into streaming their music in social media platforms, and it's well outlined in the page 3 of the Sunday Nation. We go straight to page 4, whereby it talks about how hospitals have been barred from admitting patients. It's a new revelation about how hospitals have been facing challenges in when it comes to admitting patients at their hospitals because of the Social Health Authority. And the Sunday Nation newspaper talked to one of the owners of a hospital in Langata Road in Nairobi, whereby he was talking about having a license, having paid for 30,000 for a license, yet in the registry of Social Health Authority, the register shows that he cannot admit even a single patient, and he has been allocated 0 slots despite him having paid 30,000 Kenya shillings for the license and having a capacity to hold at least 45 people in his facility. But now he is being told that he cannot admit a single patient, and now hospitals are complaining that they are not having a capacity to hold patients and admit them, despite them having enough beds to host and to admit these patients. The Social Health Authority is not covering for them, and in the registry of the Social Health Authority, the hospitals are seeing 0 slots allocated for them. And that story is in page 4 of the Sunday Nation newspaper. And we shift to page 5, whereby we see Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi warning that Kenya's economy might be exposed when Kenyans do not embrace the spirit of savings. And I see also a picture of Development CS Wycliffe Oparanya, whereby he's issuing a certificate of trophy to Cooperative Bank CEO Dr. Gideon Murioki. That story you will find in page 5, whereby the Cooperative CS Wycliffe Oparanya was calling upon Kenyans to embrace the spirit of savings, and he was saying that nowadays we are shifting from harambes to cooperatives, and he is saying that it's very nice for Kenyans to embrace the spirit of savings, and if Kenyans can embrace that spirit and save in circles and cooperatives, it will help them a lot, and comparing to the harambes that we've been witnessing. That story you will find it at page 5 of the Sunday Nation. And in we shift to page 6 and page 7 of the Sunday Nation newspaper, whereby in page 6 we see a story of a woman who had been held of a Sabasaba demo, and she died in a police station. And this 24-year-old lady by the name Julia Wangoi Wamaitha had appeared before Nanyuki court last week on Tuesday, and after she was arrested during the Sabasaba protest, and 48 hours later she was found dead and having collapsed at the Nanyuki remand prison. That story is being given airline at page 6 and page 7 of the Sunday Nation. And when the Standard newspaper tried to talk to the National Police Service spokesperson by the name Michael Moshiri, he said that the investigation is currently ongoing, and said that when this lady by the name Wangoi Wamaitha was admitted, she was in good, she was at a state that was good, but the reason as to why she died has not yet been found, and the investigations are ongoing. And that story is in page 6 of the Sunday Nation. When you go to page 7 of the Daily Nation, it's about how the game of numbers and how Gen Zs could upset ethnic voting blocks in 2027. And the Standard and the Daily Nation talks about how the population of Mount Kenya region has been in the last 3 consecutive presidential elections joined forces with the Rift Valley, and made the previous president, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta, the predecessor of William Ruto, and how it also helped with the current president William Ruto to win the general election. And now with the huge number of Gen Zs aiming to register as voters, now it can shift the ethnic block voting that has been there before, with whereby there are 2 blocks that could be seen with a huge number of people and could determine the presidential candidate who would win. Now the shift might shift from those region blocks to ethnic, to ethnic voting blocks, because the Sunday Daily Nation is talking about an estimate of 14 million youths who will be expected, who will be eligible to vote by 2027. We are talking about 14 million. This is the number of Gen Zs who will now be eligible eligible to vote by 2027, and we have over 17.8 million. These are the number of Kenyans who have been registered by between the age of 18 to 34, and there are over 22.1 million number of total numbers of registered voters as per 2022. And now with the rise and the huge number of Gen Zs who will be estimated to be registered by 2027, these will total up to 22.1 million of number of people who might be expected to vote. Remember, in 2023, during the general election, President William Ruto garnered a total number of roughly 7 point something million votes, and now the total number of eligible voters might increase up to 22.1 million voters, and this number is going to hugely affect the elections and the kind of voting that we've seen before. Unlike the traditional political arithmetic that we've witnessed before, now the Gen Zs will now be at a position to determine the one to take over as the next president. This story is, you will find it in page 7 of the Sunday Nation, and we shift to page 8 and page 9 of the Sunday Nation, whereby we see Kupet telling the TSC, Teachers Service Commission, enough of the talks, and now they want the proposal. They want the collective bargaining agreement that they agreed on, the salary increase of teachers, to be implemented. And now they are saying that they are done with the talks with the TSC, and now they want it to be implemented. And the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education, commonly known as Kupet, has warned the Teachers Service Commission that if they do not honor the collective bargaining agreement that they sent for the 2025 to 2029, they might go to the street and protest and put down their tools of work, and they may not continue working if this collective bargaining agreement will not be met by the TSC. That story, you will find it in the page 8 of the Sunday Nation. And in our page 10 of the Sunday Nation, we see a story on how Ruto has been inciting chaos, and we've seen the President William Ruto talking about the opposition orchestrating violence, and that story, you will find it in page 10 at the right hand corner of the Sunday Nation, whereby stakeholders, including the United Nations, we've seen the United Nations accusing the government of Kenya of using the police and excessive force to the demonstrators, and the President have been on record in many times vowing to defend people's lives and properties. He has been on record many times accusing the opposition of inciting the youths to violence, and Ruto has been saying that he'll do everything possible to deal with criminals who loot people's property. That story is well outlined in the page 10 of the Sunday Nation, whereby the President yesterday during a function at Elgeyo Marakwet, he was saying that he was now laying his fingers on the clergy and the church, saying that the religious leaders and political leaders are the ones who have been inciting young youths to protest, and they have been and he has been on record saying that these young youths are being incited by the religious leaders, and now he is pointing fingers at the clergy and the church for not calling out the demonstrators and even the opposition, in what he is saying that the opposition is the one orchestrating and planning for the demonstrations. That story is well outlined in page 10 of the Sunday Nation, and at the far end of the Sunday Nation in page 10, you'll see Omtata now pointing at President Ruto and saying that the president is the one who should be held accountable for the deaths that have been happening, and he is saying that the president should not say that if the former presidents were not being targeted. And Omtata is saying that during the Uhuru regime, he filed many cases, and therefore the president should not point fingers and say that other former presidents did not experience what he is experiencing. That story is in page 10 of the Sunday Nation. And we shift to page 12 and 13 of the Sunday Nation, whereby we see that there are a story about two people by the name Engineer Kongo Dongo and Philemon Kandia, who work with the with the National Highway Authority, and they are said to have exited from their agencies at the same day. And these people who resigned from top leadership in the Kenya Roads agencies are being said to be as a result of politics. And now the Kenya National Highway Authority is now at risk with two senior officials resigning. That story is in page 12 of the Sunday Nation. And when you look at the page 13 of the Sunday Nation, is whereby they talk about abductions, bullets, memes, and the one-legged push. Basically, it's an overview of the things that have been happening over the week. We've seen people condemning the abductions that have been happening. We've seen people condemning the kind of excessive force that the police has been using over to the protesters. We've seen even the president calling upon the police service to shoot those who are found protesting and attacking the police stations, to be shot at their legs and to be crippled. And that story is being discussed on how the government has been dealing with protesters. And we can see one of the activists by the name Hanifa Adan calling on government to be held accountable and saying that such words by the president, whereby he's ordering the police to shoot those protesting at their legs. And even one of the member of parliament, Belgut, we saw Nelson Koech, the Belgut member of parliament, saying that the protesters should be shot and killed. And now these activists are saying that the government should be held accountable. That story, you'll find it in page 13 of the Sunday Nation. And we shift to page 18 and 19 of the Sunday Nation, whereby we find a feature story of a woman who has been saved by chapati. This is a woman who has decided to dwell into chapati business, and it's a good story, a feature story on how this woman decided to shift and do business of cooking chapati in her area in Olkalau. And that story is given a headline in page 17 of the Sunday Nation. And this woman narrates on how this business has been providing food for her and her family, and even providing employment. And she is known in her area. She has been, this woman by the name Eunice Wanjiru is commonly known as Mama Chapo, and she has been doing this business after she was displaced during the post-election violence in 2017. And Eunice Wanjiru highlights how the 2007 and the 2008 post-election violence affected her, where she was living in Eldoret in Rift Valley. And she, together with her 5 children, were among those who were transported in Gilgil, a town in Nakuru County, to start a new life. And that's how she started venturing into the business of cooking chapati. And now this business she has been doing for over 5 years now has helped her build her own home, create employment to herself and even to other youths who are residents of where she lives. That story is a good story, and you will find it in the Standard, in the Sunday Nation newspaper. And that's basically what we have in the Sunday Nation newspaper. And you can grab a copy of the Sunday Nation newspaper and have a look at whatever is there in the Sunday Nation. And the last page of the Sunday Nation is about how Kenya Sevens it's a sports story on how Kenya Sevens will be expected to face Zimbabwe today at 4 p.m. in a fight for the final slot. This is a semi-final for the Rugby Cup semi-final, whereby Kenya is expected to face Zimbabwe in Kampala, Uganda today, starting from 4 p.m. And the Kenya Sevens will be fighting to qualify in the Rugby World Cup qualifiers. And this is a semi-final match that they will be fighting for them to go and proceed in the final slot. We will be looking at the tournaments to see how the Harambee Sevens will be doing. So remember, the Harambee Sevens were able to host Uganda yesterday, whereby they beat Uganda 32-21 24, and they have been doing quite well, whereby they have also the same day today. Namibia will be tackling Algeria, and whoever will win the match will face one another at the final. The Harambee Sevens will be looking for a spot for the World Cup qualifiers. This is a semi-final that will be happening, and that story is in the last page of the Sunday Nation. We take a short commercial break. Remember, you can engage us in our social media platforms at CBS News Kenya and at my own personal handles at Dennis MUNYI. We take a short commercial break. We will be back to have a look at the Standard newspaper. Stay tuned. My name is Dennis MUNYI.
You're watching CBS News.
Join our team at AYTB in partnership with Competitive Manpower. AYTB is seeking qualified candidates for the following positions: Technical Advisor, QA or QC Personnel, Shop Coordinator, Report Organizer, Rotating Equipment Repair Technician, Valve Overhaul Technician, Machining Technician.
Contact us today on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. You can also visit us at Waterseas Plaza, Kikorok Road. Alternatively, you can send an email to info@competitivemanpower.com. Apply now. Limited slots available.
Competitive Manpower International Limited is recruiting delivery riders in the United Arab Emirates. If you have a passion for the road and a desire to work in a fast-paced environment, then this is your chance. Don't wait. Send your applications to competitivemanpower@gmail.com. Want to apply in person? Visit our offices at Kiko Road behind the Casa Hotel, KCB River Road, Nairobi. For more details, call us now on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. Act. First opportunities are limited. Secure your spot today and start your journey as a delivery rider in the United Arab Emirates.
You're watching CBS News.
Welcome back, our viewers at CBS Newspaper Review this Sunday morning. We continue with the Standard newspaper, whereby the Standard newspaper has a bold headline by the name "Lies Haunting Ruto." Lies Haunting Ruto is the headline that you will find in the Sunday Standard newspaper. And in the Sunday Standard newspaper, we see a photo of President William Ruto in 2022 when he was doing the campaigns for the general election, with him wearing a yellow t-shirt branded the Hustler. That's why the title is Lies Haunting Ruto. You remember the president was very vocal during the previous general elections in his own terms, saying that he is a hustler, and that is the proverb he used to lure Kenyans to vote for him. And the Standard newspaper talks about how President William Ruto sold hope to the hungry and turned the poor against the powerful. You remember how he was vocal talking about the dynasties and the hustlers, and the Standard is talking about how the president sold hope to the hungry, to those he called hustlers, and the poor, and saying and he was selling hope to them against those he referred to as powerful and dynasty. And now 3 years in, President William Ruto has found himself in raging shadows, whereby his self-styled hustler narrative is nowhere to be found, whereby now he is ruling with fist, and after getting into power, he is being compared with Prince Machiavelli, who warned about power being preserved through justice and control. And his 3 years into office has been found to have had very many things, including tax hikes, to police bulleting, to police killing people through bullets, and promises that have not been fulfilled. fulfilled, whereby he has been reassuring Kenyans that there will be jobs without giving them jobs, resulting to the Gen Zs going to the street demanding for jobs. And that story is the headline of the Standard newspaper. We shift to page 2 of the Standard newspaper, whereby we've seen the similar story we saw in the Daily Nation of about 2 senior officials who have exited their positions in the road agencies, and this is being referred to as power struggles, whereby we've seen Kenya road sector being thrown into confusion after 2 twin resignated from their positions, and these are top bosses who are working in the road sector, and now they have resigned from their positions in what has been termed as a speculation that it's as a result of politics. And that story is in page 2, and it was in the Daily Nation. And in page 3 we see a story about how babies have been abandoned by their mothers, and now they have been left at Kenyatta National Hospital due to their disabilities. These are young children who are born and left by their mothers. They were abandoned by their mothers after they found out that they have disabilities. And the Standard newspaper takes a look at Kenyatta National Hospital that has a special room, and whereby they are hosting babies who are born and abandoned by their parents. That story is in page 3 of the Standard newspaper. And we shift to page 4 of the Standard newspaper, where we see a new story emerging about the embattled Deputy Inspector General Lagat, who is now set to return to work on July 22. And this is contrary to what we saw. Remember, the DIG resigned and stepped aside from his position after the death of the late Albert Ojwang, the blogger and the late teacher Albert Ojwang, who had been arrested in Homa Bay on June 7th, and on June 8th he was found dead at Central Police Station. And this Deputy Inspector General Eliud Lagat had to step aside for the investigation to be conducted. Remember, he stepped aside on June 16th, and now tomorrow is the day that we are expecting the judge by the name Justice Chacha Mwita to issue a ruling on the case challenging his Lagat stepping aside and the appointment of Tito to take over as the Deputy Inspector General. And now there is a report, and that the embattled Deputy Inspector General by the name Lagat, there is a report and speculation that he will be expected to report back to work on July 22nd. And this when the Standard newspaper reached out to the police spokesperson by the name Moshiri Nyaga, he denied those allegations, saying that he is not aware of such kind of stories. But an insider has told the Standard newspaper there are reports that the state is planning to return the embattled Deputy Inspector General by the name Lagat back to work in a silent move. And we will be looking to see what will happen, because it's very unfortunate that this Deputy Inspector General stepped aside for investigations to be conducted. The investigation is not yet over, and now there are speculations that he might return to work in a way that is not lawful. And that story, you will find it in page 4 of the Standard newspaper. And at the far end of the Standard newspaper, on the same page, you will see a story about how schools have been equipping young minds with AI knowledge. The artificial intelligence has been equipped to young school, and you will see a photo of MUNYI Education Center students being taken through a career week, where institutions are now embracing the new technology of AI. Remember, now students are embracing the new technology of artificial intelligence, and that story you will find it at the far end of the page 4 of the Standard newspaper. And we go to page 5, whereby the teachers are now threatening to strike strike over funds and over a collective bargaining agreement that has not been honored by the Teachers Service Commission. And now teachers under the KUPPET, the Kenya Union of Primary Education, is now threatening to call for a strike if the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, is not met. And we have a photo of the KUPPET Secretary General Bwana Akelo Misori, whereby they are issuing threats to demonstrate and go to the streets if the CBA will not be met. That story is in page 5 of the Sunday Nation. And at the far end of the page 5 of the Sunday Nation, we see Omtata faulting Ruto's ethnic framing claims. And the Busia Senator Okiya Omtata has now dismissed the President William Ruto's claims that his administration is being targeted by a specific community. And he has described those remarks as unbecoming of the head of state. And now, while he was speaking at a press conference in his Nairobi office yesterday, the Busia Senator Okiya Omtata was saying that the president is angry that Kenyans are calling out the hardship economic that they are witnessing, the kind of corruption that is evident in our country, and the unemployment crisis that is happening. And now he is saying that the president is angry for the youths who are speaking out on those issues that have been addressed. That is the corruption and the levels of unemployment and the economic hardship that Kenyans are facing. That story is in page 5 of the Standard newspaper. We shift to page 6 and page 7 of the Standard newspaper, whereby we see a story on how unfulfilled poll promises and a bit of lies which have now haunted President Ruto. This is a story that has been given headline, and it is in page 6 and page 7 of the Standard newspaper, whereby they have a look of how President William Ruto during the campaign period, on how he promised very many things to what he termed as hustler movement and hustler liberation economic way. And the president is now 3 years into office, and now the Standard newspaper reveals how those promises have not been fulfilled up to date, and they are now haunting President Ruto, whereby we've seen youths coming to streets, going out to the streets to demonstrate and even protest, calling out this government. We've seen whereby there has been even the finance bill that was introduced, the finance bill that was targeting to raise taxes for the Kenyan citizens, these ones who are referred as hustlers. And now when the president assumed office, he now do not remember the hustlers, and now he has been bringing in legislations that are harassing the common mwananchi. And the Standard newspaper is talking about those unfulfilled promises by the president and the number of lies that the president has told Kenyans, which are now haunting him, with Kenyan and the Gen Zs going to the streets demanding for their rights and calling upon accountability on leaders. And that story is in page 6 of the Standard newspaper. And the story continues in page 7, whereby the level of unemployment amongst youths has fueled the youth revolution. And here we see pictures of Gen Z youths in Kitengela, whereby they were protesting during the Sabasaba demonstrations. And the Standard talks about 67% is the number of youths that are facing unemployment. The unemployment rate, according to a research that was conducted by a body by the name FKE, talks about 67% as the number of youths that are facing youth unemployment, and 12.7% is the national unemployment rate. And the president has been promising jobs, whereby we've seen him being on record talking about 1 million jobs that he will offer to the youth, and 680,000 job opportunities. But Ruto, so far, the number of youths that have been employed, the Standard talks about 108,000. That is a drop to what the president claimed, that he said that he is going to create jobs. He has been on record saying that over 320,000 jobs will be created through the affordable housing. and 400 Kenyans will secure job opportunities abroad. The president has been on record saying that 400,000 Kenyans will secure jobs abroad, and 250,000 jobs will be in Germany by September 2024. That's what the president had promised, but now, as of now, those jobs are nowhere to be found. That story you will find in page 7 of the Standard newspaper. The story continues in page 8 and page 9, whereby we see a photo of a protester who is protesting during the Gen Z protest in Kitengela during the Sabasaba protest, and a photo of a police officer. We see a young protester carrying a flag, and a police officer with rungu and a gun. And this story is talking about how the president has been dealing with protesters, in even at a point whereby we've seen police using excessive firearms, excessive force to curb the protesters. And that story is being discussed in page 8 of the Standard newspaper. And page 9 is whereby we see the President Alice has been there out calling out the opposition and telling them calling out them and saying that they have been doing what they call tribal politics. And the President Alice have been talking without being in control. We saw the Belgut Member of Parliament Nelson Koech saying that those protesting should be shot and killed. The kind of words we are seeing President Ruto's allies issuing, something to even surprise you. We've seen the Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen also saying that they will be dealing with protesters, and we've seen even the police using excessive force to deal with protesters. And we also see at the far end of the page 9 whereby the bishops have been calling upon Ruto to withdraw the shoot order, and we see the Kericho Catholic bishop by the name Alfred Rotich urging the president to withdraw his statement on the shoot order. And that story, basically, you'll find it in page 9 of the Sunday Nation. We shift to page 10 of the Sunday Nation, whereby the IEBC team that was sworn in amid public doubt, whereby we have the photo of the new IEBC chairperson by the name Erastus Edung Edokon during the swearing in. And it talks about what is expected by the IEBC after the commission was sworn in, and there are very many things that the IBC has to do. We have by-elections that are about to happen. We have in Baringo, in Banisa, in Magarini, in Ugunja, in Malava constituencies, along other several wards across the country. There is the issue on delimitation of boundaries, a process that should have been conducted by March 2024. Therefore, the newly sworn IEBC Commission has a lot of work to do. And there is also the targeted constituencies that include Udhaya, Ndaragwa, Budalangi, Vihiga, Undanyi, Mwatate, Buara, Isiolo South, Samburu East, North Hall, Saku, Kilome, Mukurweini, Mbere North, and Madhioa. These are some of the constituencies that are expected to face the delimitation boundaries process that should have been conducted by March 2024. Other regions are Kangema, Marakwet East, Keio North, Tetu, Magoti, Lamu East, and Lamu West. And now there is a lot that awaits the newly sworn IEBC Commission, including not limited to the mass registration that should be conducted. Remember, we are just below 2 years to the general election in 2027, and now the IEBC Commission that was sworn in. The IEBC Commission, just to mention a few commissioners that were sworn in, we have Ann Derito, Moses Mukanwa, Mary Morobit, Hassan Nul Hassan, Francis Adul, and those are the IEBC commissioners that were sworn a few days ago, and a lot of work is expected for them. And we shift to page 11 of the Standard newspaper, whereby with the story being given headline is about the SHA jobs that were for the ex-NHIF staff, and the court has ruled out that there will be no automatic SHA jobs for those who are working with NHIF. Remember, we shifted from the NHIF to SHA, and there are people who are working as SHA as NHIF staff, and now the court has ruled there will be no automatic SHA jobs for them. That's a ruling that was issued yesterday by the judge. And that story, you will find it in page 11 of the Standard newspaper. We shift to page 14 of the Standard newspaper, whereby we've seen church that were rooted in the during the demonstrations, and we've seen Christian faithfuls joining together to pray for the nation at in Nairobi last year, whereby now the church is offering prayers, conducting prayers for the nation and asking for peace for our nation. And we shift to page 19, whereby there is a story of an ex-spy master in Boynet, whereby there was a guest at Wilson by the name Wilson Boynet, who was a spy. That is in page 19. We shift to page, basically that is what has been outlined in the Standard newspaper, with much being given about President William Ruto and the faith promises that he has given to the Gen Zs since he assumed office. And the last page of the Standard newspaper is about the Chelsea and the PSG competition that will be happening today. Today is a big day to those sports enthusiasts, and there is a big match between Chelsea and PSG. I do not know whether you are a fan of Chelsea or PSG. Maybe you can comment there, and I'll see your comment there. And Chelsea is expected to face PSG during the Club World Cup finals that will be happening today at 10 p.m., whereby the two teams will be meeting to face each other. That's a match that will be happening between Chelsea and PSG during the Club World Cup final. That story is in the last page of the Standard newspaper. We take a short commercial break, and we will be back to have a look at what we have in our Taifa Leo. Stay tuned. My name is Dennis MUNYI.
You're watching CBS News.
Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum, gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-2688-888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.
Almarai Company, in collaboration with Competitive Manpower, is urgently hiring for the following exciting roles: Grade 1 mechanics, panel beaters, refrigeration technicians, lead mechanics, diesel plant mechanics, welders and stainless steel welders. Why apply? This is a free recruitment with no application or placement fees required. Contact us today on 0721 506627 or 0733 3921 80. You can also visit us at Waterseas Plaza, Kikorok Road. Alternatively, you can send an email to info@competitivemanpower.com. Apply now. Limited slots available.
Welcome to Competitive Training Institute, empowering you with in-demand skills. At Competitive Training Institute, we equip you with practical, job-ready skills that open doors both locally and internationally. Whether you're aiming to become a qualified caregiver, certified plumber, skilled automotive mechanic, or want to learn a foreign language like French, Arabic, or German, and many more, we've got the right course for you. Our hands-on training, guided by experienced instructors and aligned with market demands, ensures you're ready to compete and succeed in today's job market. We don't just train, we help you get hired. Our job placement team supports you in finding meaningful work after graduation. We are proudly accredited by NITA, ensuring high standards in all we offer. Ready to begin? Call us on 020-200-192 or 0721-223081, or email us at competitivetraining@gmail.com. Your journey starts here. Let's build your future together.
You're watching CBS News.
Karibu mtazamaji, kumbuka hapa ni katika runinga yako ya CBS. Tunaendelea kuchambua gazeti na niko na gazeti la Taifa Leo ambapo imepewa kichwa Gen Z kuamua 2027 na anaweka ile alama ya swali. Anauliza kama ni Gen Z watakuwa wanaamua uchaguzi wa mwaka 2027. Na kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo tunaona picha ya kizazi cha Gen Z wakiwa wengi kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo na wamewekewa kipaza sauti. Ndio maana gazeti la Taifa Leo linasema ni Gen Z kweli wataweza kuamua mwaka 2027. Kwa miaka mingi viongozi nchini wamekuwa wakitegemea maeneo ya kisiasa kama vile Mlima Kenya na Bonde la Ufa, lakini sasa huenda mwaka wa 2027 ikawa tofauti, kwani kizazi cha Gen Z ndicho kinaonekana kana kwamba kitakuwa na uwezo wa kuamua ni nani ambaye atakuwa rais kwenye mwaka wa 2027. Hilo ni swala ambalo limepewa kipaumbele kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo, na pia hapo chini ukiangalia kuna sababu za rais kukosa usingizi. Unaona picha ya rais akiwa mwenye mawazo, na pia picha ya kiongozi Raila Odinga pale akisema kuwa wahalalisha ukatili Raila aambiwa. Hilo ndilo ambalo utapata kwenye kurasa wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. Na ukiangalia kwenye kurasa la pili la Taifa Leo tunaona Gen Z wakisemekana kuwa huenda ndio ambao wataweza kuamua uchaguzi wa mwaka 2027. Kwa miaka mingi eneo la Mlima Kenya limekuwa likishirikiana na eneo la Bonde la Ufa katika chaguzi 3 zilizopita za urais na kuwasaidia kuingia madarakani aliyekuwa rais hapo awali Uhuru Kenyatta pamoja na aliye rais William Ruto, ambapo tuliona mwaka uliopita kwenye uchaguzi uliopita wakishirikiana na upande wa Bonde la Ufa na katika watu wa Mlima Kenya, ambao hizo kura ziliweza kuamua na kumsaidia kuweza kuchukua kiti cha urais. Lakini sasa inasemekana kuwa huenda mwaka wa 2027 kizazi kipya cha Gen Z kubadilisha hali katika uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka wa 2027, na huenda hawa vijana wa Gen Z ikiwa wataweza kujiandikisha kama wapiga kura waweze kushiriki kwenye uchaguzi wa mwaka wa 2027, huenda ndio watakaoamua, kwani hao ndio wanasemekana kuwa wengi na ambao watakuwa wanashiriki kwenye uchaguzi wa urais wa mwaka 2027. Hilo ni jambo ambalo limeweza kuangaziwa kwa kina kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo. Na ukiangalia upande wa hilo kurasa tu huo wa pili, hapo juu tunaona hofu ya SHA kufuata leseni za hospitali za level 3 na level 4 ambao wameweza kusemekana ya kwamba hawawezi kusajili wale ambao wanataka kuweza kuenda kwenye hizo hospitali. Na hilo jambo tumeweza kuliona kwenye gazeti la Daily Nation, kwa hivyo sitaweza kurudia, lakini pia limeweza kunakiliwa kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo. Pia tunaona ukurasa wa 3 wakizungumza kuhusu sababu za Ruto kujawa na hofu, na inasemekana kuwa Ruto amekuwa mwenye hasira na hofu, akilaumu upinzani kwa kufeli kwa serikali yake. Huu ni muda mfupi tu baada ya kumlaumu aliyekuwa naibu wake Rigathi Gachagua kwa kuongoza jaribio la mapinduzi. Wiki hii tumemuona rais akisema kuwa kumekuwa na njama ya kumuondoa mamlakani, akilaumu viongozi wa upinzani, na hizi ni baadhi ya sababu ambazo zimemfanya rais kuwa mwenye hofu. Na wakati anazungumza ameonekana kuwa mwenye hasira, akikomea wale viongozi wa upinzani, akisema kuwa wamekuwa wakichochea vijana kuweza kutokea kwenye maandamano na kutoa ghasia katika nchi ya Kenya. Rais amekuwa akionekana mwenye kujawa na hofu. Hilo ni jambo ambalo limeweza kuzungumziwa kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo kwenye ukurasa wa 2 na 3, na tunavuka hadi ukurasa wa 4 na wa 5 ambapo tunaona kiongozi wa ODM Bwana Raila Odinga akisemekana kuwa kuna kundi ambao wamesema kuwa kinara wa ODM Raila Odinga amekuwa akijipendekeza kwa Gen Z, na hilo jambo utalipata kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo ukurasa wa 4. Na kwenye ukurasa wa 5 tunaona habari ya jamvi la siasa, ambapo tunaona wakiweza kuangazia swala la aliyekuwa msaidizi wa rais ama aliyekuwa mshauri wa rais Bwana Moses Kuria, ambapo anasemekana wakati aliweza kuacha kazi yake, na hilo jambo linaweza kuangaziwa wakisema kuwa na kuna kichwa ambacho kimewekwa kuwekwa hapo kikiuliza nani anamiliki wahuni, ni serikali au upinzani. Kumekuwa na kurushiana kwa maneno kati ya viongozi wa upinzani ambao wako serikalini, kila mmoja akisema kama ni upinzani wanasema kuwa serikali ndio ambayo inafaa kuwajibika, nayo serikali wakisema kuwa upinzani ndio ambao wamekuwa wakipanga haya maandamano. Na pia ukiangalia kwenye ukurasa wa 6 na 7 wanaangazia kuhusu ujanja wa Raila kuzima Gen Z, ambapo pendekezo lilitolewa na kiongozi wa chama cha ODM Raila Odinga hapo jana, akisema kuwa kuna haja ya kuwa na mazungumzo na mdahalo baina ya vijana na serikali ili kuweza kujua ni nini ambacho vijana wa Gen Z wanasema. Na sasa gazeti linasema kuwa huu ni ujanja wa kiongozi huyu Raila Odinga ambao anataka kuutumia ili kuzima Gen Z. Hilo swala limeweza kuangaziwa kwenye ukurasa wa 6 wa Taifa Leo. Na kwenye ukurasa wa 7 tunamuona aliyekuwa mshauri wa rais Bwana Moses Kuria, ambaye aliweza kujiondoa siku chache tu zilizopita, na baadhi ya wachanganuzi wa masuala ya kisiasa wamekuwa wakibashiri kuwa kujiondoa kwake serikalini ni sehemu ni kama tu mojawapo ya kufanya sehemu na mkakati wa kugawanya kisiasa eneo la Mlima Kenya, ambalo mara mingi linaonekana kuwa na ushawishi mkubwa kwenye uchaguzi. Na baadhi ya wandani wa aliyekuwa naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua wamekuwa wakisema kuwa Rais Ruto amemshauri Bwana Kuria aweze kujiuzuru ndio aweze kuvuruga ajenda ya mwaka wa 2027. Hilo ni jambo ambalo nimeweza kuangaziwa kwenye ukurasa wa 7 wa Taifa Leo, na tuvuke mpaka ukurasa wa 8 na 9 wa Taifa Leo, ambapo kuna pendekezo lililotolewa na gavana wa Mombasa Al-Masir, akiwataka wakaazi wawe na kitambulisho cha kaunti ili kuweza na kubaini yule ambaye anafanya kazi kwenye kaunti ya Mombasa, na ni jambo ambalo limeweza kutoa maoni tofauti na kuzua tumbo joto kwenye kaunti ya gavana kwenye kaunti ya Mombasa. Ni gavana wa Mombasa Bwana Abdi Nasir akisema kuwa serikali yake itaweza kutoa kitambulisho cha kaunti ili kujua yule ambaye anafanya kazi kwenye kaunti ya Mombasa. Hilo ni jambo ambalo limeangaziwa kwenye ukurasa wa 8 na 9 wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. Tukivuka upande mwingine tunaona kwenye ukurasa wa 10 wakiangazia rais wa Marekani Donald Trump ambaye amekuwa akisema kuwa mataifa ya Afrika wanafaa kujitegemea, na akisema kuwa Amerika haitaweza kupeana fedha kwa mataifa ya Kiafrika, na mataifa ya Kiafrika yanafaa kuwa yanaweza kujikimu yenyewe. Hiyo ni swala ambalo limepewa kipaumbele katika ukurasa wa 10 wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. Gazeti la Taifa Leo halijaweza kuangazia mambo mengi isipokuwa hayo ambayo tumeweza kuangalia. Na mwisho wa gazeti la Taifa Leo ni spoti, ambapo nilikuwa nimewafahamisha kuwa siku ya leo kuna mchuano mkali baina ya timu ya Chelsea wakipambana na timu ya PSG. Na timu hii ya PSG ambayo inaongozwa na kocha wao Luis Enrique watakuwa wanapambana na timu ya Chelsea ambayo inaongozwa na kocha wao Enzo Maresca, na hizi timu mbili zitakuwa zinakutana siku hii ya leo, Chelsea wakiweza kutaka kuania hicho kikombe cha klabu bingwa duniani kwa mara ya pili. Kumbuka wameweza kujishindia hili kombe mara moja, lakini timu ya PSG itakuwa inataka kuweka historia kwa kuweza kushinda kombe hili kwa mara ya kwanza, na hiyo finali itakuwa inasakatwa hapo leo masaa ya kuanzia saa 4, ambapo Chelsea watakuwa wanapambana na wana PSG. Kumbuka PSG siku chache zilizopita waliweza kuwapiga Real Madrid mabao 4-0, na siku hii leo tutakuwa tunaangazia tuweze kuona ni nani ambaye ataweza kuibuka mshindi wa kombe hili kwenye kombe hili na kwenye mchuano huu. Sijui bashiri wako ni upi kwenye mechi hilo, na kukuwafahamisha tu hiyo mechi itakuwa inafanyika leo hapo mnamo masaa ya saa 4. Hapo jana pia tuliweza kuona mashindano ya shule ambapo timu ya Agai na Kabala Mixed Rule yaliweza kushinda kwenye mechi ambazo zilikuwa zinafanyika hapo jana, na kuweza kushinda ni shule ya Agai Boys na Kabala Mixed hapo Nyanza Region ambazo ziliweza kushinda hapo jana kwenye michuano ambayo ilikuwa ikiendelea ya Nyanza Region. Kisumu County iliweza kupigwa na Agai High Boys High School mabao 2-0 kwenye uwanja wa Moi Stadium. Hayo ndio tu yameweza kuangaziwa kwenye magazeti ya leo kwenye siku hii ya leo, tukingoja kuona siku ya leo itakwenda vipi. Kuna mengi ambayo yatakuwa yanafanyika siku ya leo, ikiwemo naibu rais akiwa kwenye safari yake kule Marekani akiendeleza siku yake ya pili siku hii ya leo. Tutakuwa tunaangazia pia rais ambapo atakuwa anahudhuria ibada yake ya siku ya leo. Tutakuwa tunaangazia baadhi ya viongozi ambapo watakuwa wanahudhuria siku hii ya leo na mambo ambayo yatakuwa yakifanyika, na tutaweza kukupasha kwenye habari zetu za saa 7 na saa 10 na jioni bila shaka. Nimekuwa wako Dennis Munyi, ninakutakia Jumapili njema yenye fanaka mpaka siku ya kesho majaliwa. Kwa heri ya kuonana.
You're watching CBS News.
Join our team at AYTB in partnership with Competitive Manpower. AYTB is seeking qualified candidates for the following positions: Technical Advisor, QA or QC Personnel, Shop Coordinator, Report Organizer, Rotating Equipment Repair Technician, Valve Overhaul Technician, Machining Technician.
Contact us today on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. You can also visit us at Waterseas Plaza, Kikorok Road. Alternatively, you can send an email to info@competitivemanpower.com. Apply now. Limited slots available.
You're watching CBS News.